All right, Shalom Akyom. I'm Zahab of the GMS Mississippi Camp, giving our honor and glory to Yahweh by our son Yahweh Shai. Also giving double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone Ruel, saying peace and blessings, salutations to the hopefully elect. Okay, and today I want to speak on how westernization and so-called black culture destroyed our women, man. Okay, because I guess I have a story to tell. I pretty much grew up in the hood, basically. Something like the hood. So you brothers pretty much know, from one degree or another, how the hood looks. You know what I mean? People walking up and down the street, women dressing fast, and half naked, and Jake walking pit bulls, and people breaking their houses. Every now and then you might see some fights. Somebody might get, somebody might have got shot. But basically, since we're talking about women, the women were basically, a lot of them they smoked, a lot of them drank. Like I said, a lot of them were dressed half naked, a lot of them were loud and boisterous. That's pretty much attached to the so-called black woman, that's attached to the so-called black woman and the hood that she comes from. But I transferred to a different school my senior year. And, that just so happened to be the school where I met the head of the camp, and that's how we came into the faith, basically. But long story short, that school was located on the other side of town that wasn't classified as the hood. Although a lot of Jakes stayed there, a lot of the Jakes, they spoke differently. They kind of pronounced their words more so-called proper. The women were more balanced in general. They were more, well put together. A lot of them, they had more class to them. You see what I'm saying? They had more class to them. A lot of them were probably still virgins at that time. Okay, and what I wanted, the reason why I'm speaking on this, because we always get on black culture, but I always speculated on why people act differently on this side of town as opposed to the more urban side of town where I came from. And I thought about it. How Esau attacks our people. One big attack that he did with our people, of course, the feminist movement, but taking the so-called black man out of the household. Because even if you look at our brothers on the Northern Kingdom, a lot of them still have family structure, and in turn, their women are more feminine. Okay? But with the Southern Kingdom, what one thing happened that was different from what happened in the Northern Kingdom, and that was with this crack agenda, this crack cocaine agenda in the prison industrial complex, which in the 80s left so many fatherless households, man. So the urban environment where I came from was an environment with a lot of fatherless households, or the fathers just might have been just busy working. Whereas on this other side of town, where the women were more well put together and a little more classy, a little more feminine, there would be the women that you would see at your bank, welcome to Regions, welcome to Trustmark. They were sort of balanced, you see. One thing that was differently was they stayed on the side of town where they probably came from two-parent households, and the dad was more in control. And the average man in his right mind is not gonna have his kids growing up in the hood if he can control it. So, just to, expound more on it, the thing that created this, even the young men that stayed on that side of town, even the young men, they were literally like young men. They were like younger men. They might have played football, but they weren't nerdy, they weren't weak, but they weren't wild ass Jakes either. They were just kind of well put together. They didn't mind tucking their shirt in. They looked masculine, but they were sort of collective. They literally looked like young men. But this is a side of town where more households were two-parent households. You see, more households, men might have had a say-so in a situation. Men had more control over their house. And that produced more well put together Israelites, man, in this society at least. Whereas the urban household that had more single parent household, it produced wild ass niggas, wild ass Israelites, and fast ass nigga women, fast ass Israelite women, man. But that's a byproduct of white supremacy. That's a byproduct of having this racial institutionalized racism, this system set up to where at some point in life, the father's not gonna be there because the man is gonna go to jail some point in his life, or he's gonna die at an early age from gun violence. All right, so that goes to show you black culture destroyed. I'm just showing the illustration of how black culture destroyed our people, both the man and the woman, and that's the result of taking the power source, which is the Israelite man, out of the household. It's gonna produce, in most cases, an uncontrolled woman, an undisciplined woman, okay, and it's gonna control an undisciplined man that goes off instinct, man, okay, and just those different sides of town in which I stayed in, they were no more than 15 minutes away from each other, but it produced that much of a difference of people. Even the people that grew up in the hood, they be like, the folks on that side of town, they not real niggas, because a lot of them not thugs, you see? But everybody know that like the neighborhood, the environment where I grew up in, everybody sort of scared of that, like, oh, you from that side of town? They probably think you steal, or you just some wild ass Israelite or something, man. And one of the elements that make it what it is fatherless household, single parent household, thanks to the industrialized the prison industrial complex. You know, but I'm not gonna keep going on and on about it. I hope you brothers are edified, you know, like it says in Isaiah 3:12, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over us. But to the next lesson, shalom.